Hello dear aspirants, welcome to Shubhra Ranjan IAS, myself Karuna Mishra, and we will be discussing the questions which were asked from Science and Technology in GS paper 3 this year. The mains this year had a lot of questions from Science and Tech. There were a total of 5 questions which were asked from the areas of Science and Technology. Let us have an analysis on the type of questions which have been asked. If we look at the question, these are not exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but from the question paper, I have extracted the 5 questions which have been asked. If let us say I'm talking about the first question here, it is about IPR. Now, IPR or intellectual property rights has been categorically written in the mains syllabus of UPSC. This is also a theme which after a long time is seen again in the mains, and the IPR theme has been clubbed with the theme of biotech. So the question is, what is the present world scenario of intellectual property rights with the respect of life material? Although India is second in the world to file the patents, still only few have been commercialized. Explain the reasons behind this less commercialization, and it is for 10 marks. 10 marks, 150 words. Now, if I look at this question talks about one, the IPR, and the IPR related to the life material. What exactly are life material? Life material are the microorganisms, plants, different types of insects, animals, etc. Then it says that India has the second highest rate of filing the patents. In fact, as per the NASSCOM report, which came in the April, India had nearly 83,000 patents which were filed. So a lot has been done on the government front also, that India files more patent, whether it is the initiative taken in the educational institutes among the different organizations also. We will see this when we discuss this question. So this topic was in news, but clubbing it with biotech was a good surprise element. The second part of this question is the reason behind this less commercialization. So it basically wants to say that why are we not converting the results into, or the research into, the tangible products? There are no tangible products. There is a lot of research which is going on, but it is not taking this shape, or it is not resulting in the products which are formed. We are making a lot of progress when it comes to the scientific innovation, but not in the commercialization of it. Second question is, what is the technology being employed for the electronic toll collection? I think Nitin Gadkari Saab made a declaration that I'll remove all the toll booths in the future. So yes, it is based on that. The electronic toll collection on the highways, what are its advantages and limitations? This question actually has 4 parts in it, although it is a 10-marker question. What is the technology being employed currently for the toll collection? What are its advantages as well as limitations? Once we explain the limitation, we will be in a position to say that what are the proposed changes, since the changes are going to be done using the GPS GNSS, and what would this transaction carry, and are there any concerns which are associated with it? Again, describe the context and salient features of Digital Personal Data Protection Act. 10-marker question, a very straightforward question. This act came in the year 2023. It was long due, whether it was the Supreme Court judgment of considering right to privacy as part of right to life, and and the whole occurrences of the frauds and the digital data collection, storage, as well as its protection. Who should have the onus? Who should be responsible? Whose responsibility it is to make sure that this data does not reach the wrong hands? This bill is around that. What are asteroids? Now this is again from the current, right? Recently there was a lot of hue and cry that an asteroid might hit Earth and can result in the extinction of life. So what are asteroids? We have to discuss what are the different categories of asteroids. How real is the threat of them causing the extinction of life? Well, the threat is quite real. The extinction of dinosaurs is attributed to the hit of the asteroids. Then what strategies have been developed to prevent such catastrophe? So this is a 15-marker question. It is a larger question. We have to take the initiatives of NASA, ISRO, etc. in the picture here. Fifth question is, the world is facing an acute shortage of clean and safe fresh water. Fresh water has been in the news for a very long time. If you go deep, since you have given the means, you know that whether it is the economic survey, whether it is the different reports by the different organization, whether we are talking about the Ganga Action Plan, whether it is about conserving the glaciers for the freshwater. Freshwater has been in use. In fact, if I recall 2 years back in the economic survey, there was a lot of focus on the conservation of groundwater as a major source of fresh water. So this theme of fresh water is very, very important. You have seen questions from this theme in GS paper 1 as well. So yes, for those students who are preparing for the upcoming examination, who will be the aspirants in the upcoming years, you need to know that this is a very, very important theme. Even for your upcoming examination, they have right now asked about the cleaning technologies. They can also ask you about how the groundwater or the glaciers have to be conserved, as glaciers are the #1 source of fresh water, followed by groundwater. So maximum fresh water is stored in the glaciers, followed by groundwater, and then you have the lakes, atmosphere, and rivers. So yes, this is an important thing. Now let us take questions one by one. I have not taken the question in the same order. I have taken the question more on the lines of which are more technical. I will also try to teach you the concepts around it, which are more technical, which are more difficult to solve. So I have taken the first question. It is a 15-marker question, and in this question, the world is facing an acute shortage of clean and safe fresh water. What are the alternative technologies which can solve this crisis? Briefly discuss any 3 such technologies, citing their key merits and demerits. Now in this question, when I'll write the introduction, in the introduction, since this is a statement which is talking about a crisis which has been established, it is an established crisis, we can start the introduction by giving a data. This data can be from WHO. The WHO highlighting how more than 50% of the human population is facing the water crisis, especially safe drinking water. Or you can also give the data from IPCC, how the IPCC has given the data that the tropical and subtropical countries, including India, are in future going to face severe drinking water crisis because of the limited fresh water. If you want, you can also give the observation by the economic survey. Highlighting of the economic survey, highlighting how in India, especially in the interior of the India, we are facing the severe water crisis, not only for the agriculture purpose but also for the drinking purpose. India also is facing acute groundwater contamination, especially in the agricultural belt. So in the agricultural belt, I am talking about Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, up till Assam. There has been, as per the economic survey, there has been severe contamination and presence of arsenic in this region, also creating a problem of the shortage of clean and safe fresh water. It is not just talking about the availability, it is also talking about the availability of clean fresh water. So you can use any of these. I would want you to use some data. I want you to use some kind of illustration by any of these organizations. It will give you more weightage in the answer. Now, what are the alternative technologies which can solve the crisis? Now, when we talk about this, here you have to write about the various technologies which can be used for solving the freshwater crisis. Now, when it comes to technology, the first technology which is used, which has gained the momentum, which already is a proven solution, is desalination. Desalination, which is done by Israel. Israel is a country which has achieved green revolution, which has achieved food security. Israel has acute shortage of fresh water. It does not have many water bodies. Saudi Arabia is doing it. UAE is doing it. Desalination plant was also on paper between India and Maldives. So any country which does not have fresh water resources, desalination is one technique which has been given the approval. And this technique, since is being already used in various countries, the cost of technology has also gone down. you have trained human resource which are actually using this technology. Apart from that, if I look at what exactly this technology talks about, this is what desalination plant looks like. So in a desalination plant, I have taken the example of solar desalination. How you are doing the solar desalination? See, if I talk about the solar desalination alone, solar desalination is the process that uses sunlight to convert saline water into fresh water. How can you do it? Sometimes it is as simple as allowing the saline water to evaporate. I collect the evaporated water, which is the fresh water, and the salts are left behind. It can be as simple as that also. But if I want this process to be a little faster, then what is being deployed is that in the desalination plants, I'm basically having this salt water which is extracted from the ocean, and it passes through filters removing the larger molecules of the salt, and then here the salts and the other minerals, the excess minerals, are removed from the water and the fresh water is collected. In this I am using energy. Sometimes the energy which is used is the solar energy, and that is the example of solar desalination. So if I say desalination is the salt from the salt water is extracted for obtaining the fresh water. Now here the Saudi Arabia's example I have given, how Saudi Arabia is successfully extracting over 800 million liters of water per day. You can also give the example of Israel. Israel has also pioneered and now achieved the expertise in producing fresh water from the salt water. If I look at the possible concerns around it, the possible concerns is this is what is happening. It is converting the sea water into fresh water, providing almost limitless supply. Now why limitless supply? Because the salt water is the most abundant. The majority of the water, more than 96% of the water, only 3% is in the form of fresh water. Out of that also it is mostly in the glaciers. Less than 1% is actually available for our consumption when it comes to fresh water. So the majority of the water is already salt water, or it is the ocean water. So the supply or the raw material, which is the ocean water, is available in abundance. So there will be no dearth, there will be no end to the availability of the water. And since this water is available, especially for the coastal areas, I can use this technique. But then there is a problem. There is a problem which is associated. Here only 2 problems are written. You can add one more to it. What are the problems which are associated? When it comes to the desalination, we understood the desalination. If I write it in the answer format, I understood what exactly is the desalination technique. In the desalination technique, I understood how the sea water is used for obtaining fresh water. Right? I can deploy this in the coastal region. But now what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is that, one, the cost of the technology. Second, when I remove the water which is high in salt concentration, salt plus mineral concentration, which is also called as brine. When I release this brine, now what is brine? Brine is the water which is having very high concentration of salt and minerals. When I release this brine back into the aquatic ecosystems or in the water bodies, it disturbs the biodiversity of that region. So the brine is not good for the marine biodiversity. It also changes the overall salinity in that localized area, affecting the overall flora and fauna. So if I have to say, the brine disposal is harmful for the marine ecosystem, the energy intensive and expensive, leading to high operational cost, and most important is I cannot have this as a universal answer. This can only be deployed in the coastal areas. What about the interior? So another drawback, another concern is that these can only be deployed in the coastal areas. For topics like these, for questions like these, it is always advisable to use a table. इस टाइप के टॉपिक में हमारे लिए सबसे बढ़िया तरीका होता है टेबल फॉर्मेट. यूज अ टेबल in which we will be talking about the technology. So the first technology here is desalination. What is the process? What are the benefits? And then what are the concerns? Right? सबसे आसान तरीका यही होता है. So you can write about the process of desalination, that is using the salt water or sea water to produce the fresh water by removing the salts from it. The removal of the salts can be done through solar energy also, and that is open solar desalination, in which in the open fields we allow the water to evaporate, collecting the water and removing the minerals. Or it can also be closed, in which we use the solar panels to produce the energy, which results in the removal of the salts and minerals. Then the benefits, we have already discussed the benefits. There is this is the limitless source of water. It is very crucial for the coastal areas. It will ensure water supply, water security in the coastal areas. It will also help countries like Saudi Arabia, the countries which do not have the freshwater rivers or even groundwater availability, to access the fresh water. Concerns, we have also discussed that the concerns are the high cost of the technology, the operational cost, as well as the initial capital investment is also very high. And then the coastal region, it is only feasible in the coastal regions. And third is the brine or the salt concentrated water. When it is released back into the ecosystem, it can cause a lot of disturbance in the flora and fauna. So this is about the solar desalination. Solar desalination I have given you separately for the upcoming prelims and mains. If there are those students who are preparing for the upcoming examination, this can also be asked separately in your prelims or mains. Solar desalination is a process that uses sunlight to convert the saline water into fresh water. It can be used for drinking, irrigation, or other processes. Solar desalination system can be affordable, it is sustainable, and it is easy to operate. And it can be more efficient than conventional desalination techniques, which are often expensive, energy intensive, and environmentally harmful. So solar desalination can actually be an answer, especially for states in India, for states like Tamil Nadu, for states like Gujarat, for states like Rajasthan, etc. Now, ma'am, how will you do it in Rajasthan? You have lakes in Rajasthan where you can do it, right? Now, when it comes to technology, you can use the nanotechnology in order to convert or in order to purify the water or make the safe and fresh water available. So nanotechnology also has various latest water purification techniques, and with the nanotechnology, purification processes are highly efficient as well as cost effective. The different approaches are the main is the application of nanotechnology in water treatment processes, including silver, copper, and zero valent ion (ZVI) nanoparticles, nanostructured polycatalyst, nanomembranes, and nanoadsorbents. So since the question is the use of technology for making the fresh water available, you can use nanotechnology. In the nanotechnology, by using nanoparticles, nanomaterial, nanoparticles including the silver, copper, and zero valent ion, along with the nanostructured photocatalyst. Now, what are photocatalysts? The photocatalyst is another, or photocatalytic water purification is the second type of technology which you can write. So if I have to make, we can say use of nanotechnology, and in the use of nanotechnology, we can use the use of the photocatalytic water purification. Now, what is exactly photocatalytic water purification? Let us first understand what this is, and then we'll see how to write the answer around it. Those who already know this, you can fast forward this. Those who do not know these techniques, you can make your notes right now. Do not wait for it to be done in the classes. You can be ready for examination, especially for your prelims, the students who are not from the current examination. Now, this is what the photocatalytic water purification and how it works. Now, what is happening here? How exactly this purification system works? In this purification system, it uses light to remove the pollutants from water. So, सबसे पहले what are you using here? You are using light. You are using light for removing the pollutants. This process can break down the organic pollutants into water, carbon dioxide and other small molecules. Always remember one thing, that if there is an organic pollutant, any organic pollutant, when it breaks down, it produces carbon dioxide and water. What am I using here? I am using, let us say I have the groundwater. This is especially important for India, especially the North Indian belt, where I am having very severe arsenic pollution. In the interior of the Deccan region, where I have the the heavy metal pollution which is happening in that region, lead pollution which is there. So what I can do is, let us say I have extracted the groundwater, elimination of groundwater, arsenic, chromium, etc. Now what is happening here? Using the solar power, circulating the water purification system can be devised to recover, reuse the photocatalytic particles. What am I doing? As you can see here, I extract the groundwater. Using the solar power, I am removing the harmful chemicals. How am I doing it? The mixing tank will be here, and from the mixing tank, after supplying it or after processing it in the presence of sunlight, I will remove the heavier metals. I will separate them, and after separation, in the separation tank, once the heavier metals are separated, your photocatalysts are recovered. The photocatalysts are recovered and the potable water is available. As you can see, this is so easy. It is so easy to make available. It does not even have the condition of being at the coastal area. So coastal area wala bhi issue khatam ho jata hai, and it can reduce or oxidize inorganic pollutants into harmless substance. So we are not talking about the organic pollutants alone. We are talking about the heavy metal pollution. We are talking about the inorganic substances, and it can reduce those inorganic substances into comparatively harmless products. So if I have to write down, the next is photocatalytic purification. We can write the process. The benefit is it can be used in any part of the country. And can also help with the tackling of groundwater contamination. The groundwater contamination can also be tackled by using this technique. What are the concerns around it? The concerns again are the capital investment, the human resource training, development of the human resource around it, and the handling of the waste. Another concern can be handling of the waste. So for those, you can write down from here what are the advantages. The advantages is it uses the sunlight to treat the wastewater. So the best thing is it is sustainable. Since it is using the sunlight, the most important is the source of energy is the sustainable source of energy. It can be an effective agent around a variety of contaminants, especially heavy metals and other inorganic compounds. Right? It has minimal chemical use and it is reusable. It is cost effective. The challenges are catalyst instability. Sometimes the catalyst is prone to self-etching. It is unstable. A low solar utilization. And then fast carrier combination. Existing catalyst may have fast carrier recombination, the difficulty of reusing at times, and of course the capital. If you can't remember these terms, You can always use the general terms about how it is a new technique that has to be adapted. You have another technique which is being used in India also, especially for treating the wastewater. So another technique is the AVF technique, which is being used for treating the wastewater. In this process, you are basically using the movement. It is a water filtration technique that uses the downward flow of filter media. It is using the downward flow of filter media to clean an upward flow of influent. So with the downward flow of the filter media and the upward flow, you actually remove the impurities, and it is specially being done in the lakes such as the Pashan Lake. It is also being deployed in Baroda district of Gujarat. So AVF technology is also being done. It is automatic variable filter. You do not need additional cleaning. There is the filtered influent cleans the filter media. There is no need for fresh water or additional cleaning of that region also. It has a very low operating class. It does not have any moving particles. Operation and machinery maintenance is comparatively easy. This is already being used. It is cost effective. It produces water that is comparable in quality to microfiltration. What are microfiltration techniques? The RO techniques, etc. are microfiltration techniques. It also protects the area or the region against the waterborne diseases. So when I'm talking about the AVFs, for the AVFs, I can use this technique especially for larger water bodies. The water bodies which are being used, I can use it for the larger water bodies which are used for the waste disposal, where the sewage disposal has been done for a long period of time. So if I want to do the water treatment in the lakes, in the rivers, etc., I can use this particular technique. So that is the AVF technique. You can write it from here. Now, if another question comes, if there is another question that comes which is around the ways of using fresh water, how to better use fresh water, let us say for the future aspirants, there are 2-3 things that you have to take care of. This question was typically talking about the technologies which can be used, but let us say there is a question which is not on technologies. We can say that desalination, rainwater harvesting, wastewater treatment. In wastewater treatment, we are talking about the AVF treatment, drip irrigation, grey water recycling. Grey water recycling is the recycling of the sewage water. Then you have the seawater usage, anaerobic membrane bioreactors. They can extract energy from the wastewater, produce biogas and renewable fuel. What is biogas? Methane is produced. So these are other areas. Let us say there is a different type of questions on the same theme, which is how the freshwater utilization can be maximized. How can you increase the overall availability of fresh water? There you can write these points. So all those students who are making notes for the future mains, they can write these points of how I'm going to make the availability of fresh water or ensure the availability of fresh water by using various techniques. This can be your answer to that part of the question. All right. So now moving on to the next question. So if I have to write this answer, if I go back to the question, what was the demand of the question? I understood the demand of the question. The demand of the question was that world is facing the shortage. What are the alternative techniques? Discuss any 3 such techniques, their merits and demerits. So what did I do? In the introduction, I wrote some of the data which we have discussed in the beginning. In the body of the answer, we can say that the various techniques, since it is a 10 marker question, I cannot be too elaborative about it. So the various techniques, it is a 15 marker question, you have to be elaborative about it. So we can write about how there are alternative techniques which can help in the solving of crisis. We can also cite the examples from India, how in India the lakes of Pune, Bangalore are facing severe crisis, how their purification is going on. Then we can also write with the table format which we have written. In the table format, we will write about the techniques, their process, their merits and demerits. And then finally, we will also end or conclude the answer that as per the reports of IPCC, you can, if you've used one data in the introduction, you can use another in the end. We can also say that if we take the example of India, that India and other such tropical countries which are facing severe crisis with respect to the climate change and the unavailability of fresh water or drinking water need to take steps in order to increase the fresh water availability. It has been cited that in future India will be suffering from water scarcity and the unavailability of water. In that context, we can use these techniques, and this is how you can conclude the answer. All right, now let us move on to the next question. In the next question, again from the current affairs that we will be discussing. It is what is the technology that is being employed for electronic toll collection on the highways? What are its advantages and limitations? What are the proposed changes? Would this transition carry any potential? 4 parts है इस question के. In this question there are 4 parts. सबसे पहले they want you to tell you what is the current technology. What is the current technology that is being used? Then they are asking you about the advantages and limitations of the current technology. Then they are asking you about what are the changes that are being proposed, and then they are asking you what are the possible hazards. What are the possible hazards that can be seen or that can be associated with the latest changes? अब ये जो क्वेश्चन है इसके 4 हिस्से हैं, हमको सबसे पहले समझ में आ गया व्हाट इज दिस. वी कैन स्टार्ट दिस क्वेश्चन इन 2 ways. In the introduction there are 2-3 things. See, I have also added the link from where this question would have been made. Right, so if I look at the reason why this question was made, this was the news. GNSS, how the new satellite based highway toll collection system will work. So basically the government has announced, and this is not very old. The funny part is that the mails which started in on the 20th, this is basically the news from the 12th September. तो आपके पास बहुत पुराना न्यूज नहीं है, ये बहुत लेटेस्ट न्यूज था. although the declaration was done few months back that how Mr. Gadkari plans on removing, he is the union minister for the highways, and how he plans on removing the toll plazas and toll booths from the highways, and this says that how the new satellite based system is going to change the whole toll collection system. If I look at this news article, it also said that the GNSS will allow toll or highway users fees to be collected without stopping the vehicle at toll booth or boom barrier in order for the FASTag barcode to be read. It is intended to eventually replace the FASTag for toll collection. So from here only I have got an idea what was the reason for framing this question. And if you see, the language of the question is also on a similar line. So this is what it is saying, that how it is going to replace the FASTag. So for the answer I need to know that what exactly is the FASTag. So if I see what are the technologies which are being used for toll collection, these are the technologies. This is the current technology and these are the future technologies. Right. So if I have to write an answer also, since I see that this particular question has been asked only for 10 marks, I cannot write multiple statements. So I can use this way also, that India currently uses multiple technologies for toll collection and including FASTag, GNSS and GPS based. But if I want to write a good introduction, in the introduction I could have actually used this line also, right, that the government has recently announced that the GNSS or the new technology or the new technique will be introduced which will allow the toll or highway users fees to be collected without stopping the vehicles at the toll booth or boom barrier in order for FASTag barcodes to be read. It is intended to eventually replace the FASTag for toll collection. Or you can also write that how the whole process of collecting the toll has become seamless and extremely efficient by the introduction of FASTag, which has a barcode system in which the money is automatically deducted from the account or the wallet, making the whole process of crossing the toll booth hassle-free. There are 2-3 ways you can start the answer. One is a simple way, that how this process has made the whole traveling as well as collection of toll a very seamless process, and the FASTag has been very instrumental in this. And then we can write about these technologies. With the FASTag you can write, it is an RFID tag that's attached to the vehicle's windshield and deducts the toll payments directly from the linked ATA. It has been mandatory at the National Highway Toll Plaza since February 2021. So this is the already existing technology which is there. When I talk about the upcoming technologies are GNSS and GPS based system. The GNSS system is a satellite based system that uses GPS technology to detect the toll based on the distance traveled. It will automatically exempt travel up to 20 kilometers per day and has exclusive lanes for vehicles with GNSS onboard units, also called as OBUs. GPS based system is, the government is planning to roll out a GPS based system on national highways, starting with the trucks and the buses. The system will also use the geofencing to mark the entry and exit points for the accurate toll calculation. अब इससे मुझे क्या क्या समझ में आ रहा है? Now, we've already discussed the introduction. Right. Body में हमको क्या लिखना था कि what were the possible merits which were associated with the technology already in use. So if I look at this question, what are its advantages and limitation? What are the advantages of the electronic toll collection? So we can write the advantages. The advantages are: 1, the faster traffic movement, efficient toll collection, right? We can also write that now the whole corruption. भाई पहले क्या होता था, 100 रुपए का टोल है, आपको कैश में पे करना होता था, आपने उससे बोला 100 रुपए मत ले, 50 रुपए ले, जाने दे. ही इज लाइक ठीक है, लेट मी गेट 50 रुपीज इन माई ओन पॉकेट एंड let the vehicle pass. This was before the electronic toll collection was there. But after the electronic toll collection, since now your vehicle's nameplate will be read and your vehicle's number will be read, you cannot skip or bypass this collection process. So the corruption has also been reduced. Right. आपके disadvantages possible क्या हैं? जैसे अगर if I go about it, these are the various types of advantages the toll collection system has given. It has also allowed for the accurate collection or accurate tax calculation. So even the consumer will not be overcharged or doubly charged. What are the concerns around it? The concerns around it are, जैसे अभी थोड़े दिन पहले हुआ था, ये कभी भी आपने देखा हो कि when the Google is down then everything goes down, when the Microsoft is down then everything goes down, if the GPS is not working the whole system will stop working. So there is too much dependence on technology. So the server failures, can result in the overall standstill of the system. It can also result, the concerns are also that the training and the initial infrastructure development भाई आपको लोगों की ट्रेनिंग करनी पड़ेगी एंड इनिशियल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट. नेक्स्ट इज interoperability among various systems. It is not just one system, it is banking system along with the toll collection, the National Highway Authority, etc. So there are a lot of concerns around it. When it comes to the latest what is the latest that we have added? These are the new system. In the new system, now listen very carefully and try to make your notes if you are preparing for the upcoming examination. The GPS will be fitted in all types of vehicle, which will help count appropriate number of kilometers a vehicle has covered. So they will calculate the kilometers that you have covered. It will be fitted in such a way that it can neither be removed nor dismantled or tempered. You cannot dismantle it. A high shutter speed camera will be installed on the highways. There will be a high shutter speed camera which will be installed. The banks will have to have tie-up or UPS with the system which will debit the amount automatically. But इसमें सबसे बड़ा दिक्कत क्या है? Of course, there is a problem with the server. There is also a problem with the server. There is another problem of privacy. You will basically be having a lot of data regarding the movement of the people from one place to another. You can target certain individuals and track their movement. If this data actually reaches the the people or the unwanted people, unwanted organization, they can also use it against the overall well-being of the people. So yes, this is going to be a problem. Second, there is so much technical dependency. There is so much technical dependency and interoperability among the organizations and different departments that having a seamless system will become a cause of concern. So this is what was given in the Times of India. I found this particular infographic very useful. So this is what is the reason why they have given you this question. This is how we will attempt this particular answer. We have explained the concerns, we have explained the advantages. How will we write the conclusion of this answer? In the conclusion, we can write that the technology, however, has its own challenges, but India will have to adapt as well as upgrade as per the changing technologies. It has already been implemented in the developed countries such as USA and European Union, and India also has to match up to that. India should invest in creating the infrastructure as well as training the human resource which can work on the changing technology. So you have to give a positive conclusion in what India has to step up. India has to step up. Right? India has to step up. India has to make changes as per the changes technology. Chaliye, let us very quickly move to the next questions. These are the major concerns. The major concerns are initial setup cost, technical failures, privacy concern, non-compliance by the users. They might not install RFID tags. What will you do around it? So these are the major concerns. We have already discussed that. Now, let us move on to the next question. What are asteroids? How real is the threat of them causing the extinction of life? And what strategies have been developed to prevent such catastrophe? So this question has been asked. This question is on the asteroids. There was recently a threat of the asteroid hitting the Earth and resulting in the complete loss of life on Earth. There have been events which have happened earlier also. What are the different ways? Now, let us try to understand what are the demands of this question. In this question has three parts. In the three parts of this question, they are asking about what exactly are the asteroids. Then we need to address the threats and how real are the threats. So we have to give one or two examples how in previous times the asteroids have caused destruction. What are the strategies? Now here you have to write about the initiatives from NASA, the plannings of ISRO to handle the asteroids. If are any time they hit the Earth, how will they tackle this issue? So this is what this question actually is asking from you. This is how the asteroid is moving towards the Earth. Now you have to understand. First, very briefly, we have to talk about the recent event. We can either define what are asteroids, because the question is talking about what are asteroids. So the best way of writing is in the introduction, define asteroids. Right? So when you define the asteroids, what exactly are asteroids? This is what the simple definition is. I have taken this definition from NASA. So asteroids are small, rocky, metallic or icy objects that orbit the sun but are too small to be considered planets. They are the asteroids. In the solar system, you can add to this, in the solar system, majority of the asteroids are found between Mars and Jupiter, which is also called as the asteroid belt. Introduction khatam. Let us move towards the body of the question. Now, when we talk about the body of the question, now you have to talk about how real the threat is. For real the threat, you have to talk about the different types of asteroids. So you can, based on the size, composition, orbit, location, origin. This is anything, if you can recall, you can write these. What this is about the asteroids. What are the different types of asteroids? They can be as simple or as small as a pebble, or they can be as large as around 600 million across. They can be rocky, they can be metallic, they can be icy, they can orbit the sun like the planets but cannot have very high inclinations, and the locations are mostly in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but some are also in the orbital path of the planets. They are believed to be the leftover material from the formation of our solar system about 4.56 billion years ago. This data you can use for making the introduction. I have given you in this form because this is how it was given also, so that you can have more data for your prelims also. I am focusing on both type of students who have given the mains and who have to give the mains in the future. So for your prelims, you can have this kind of information. Now, when they say that how serious is the threat, you can start the body of your answer is that the extinction of dinosaurs called the Cretaceous Paleogene or the KPG extinction was triggered by a 10-kilometer wide asteroid. So you can say that yes, asteroid collision is very serious, and in the past it has resulted in the extinction of the dinosaurs and also extinction of a lot of species and biodiversity. Then you can also say that there are various types of asteroid, whether they are near Earth asteroids, C-type asteroids, Jupiter Trojans or meteoroids. Now, what exactly are they? The near Earth asteroids, as the name suggests, they are closer to the Earth's surface. Earth has maximum concern from these asteroids. These space rocks orbit the sun and can come dangerously close to Earth, right? So, in the conclusion, for example, I'll be mentioning an asteroid for that. The NASA and astronomers monitored these asteroids for potential threat, that is Apophis. Now, Apophis was discovered in 2024. In 2029, again it is going to come very, very close to Earth. So it is one such asteroid which has come dangerously close to the Earth. Then you have the C-type. This is the most common type. They are very, very dark. Most of the asteroids are made up of that, which are found between the Mars and Jupiter. Then you have the Jupiter Trojans. They orbit the sun along with Jupiter and they stay ahead or behind of the planet. So therefore they are called the Jupiter Trojans. Then you have the meteoroids. These are small rocky or metallic objects that travel through the space. They can be fragments of asteroids or comets or debris and from the collision of Moon or Mars. So meteoroids is when they come around the Earth or within the atmosphere of the Earth. So these are the different categories of asteroids which you can mark here, which you can write here in the answer. Now let us talk about the different ways of tackling the issues of asteroid. So of course the data can be written. For example, this is from DART mission. Now what is DART mission? DART mission was by NASA, in which you were deflecting the incoming asteroids away from the Earth. So this is what exactly happened in the DART mission. If let us say this was the original orbit. The white one is the original orbit. I sent a spacecraft. It collided with the Dimorphos, which is an asteroid, and it deflected its orbit. When it alters its orbit, it is not going to come towards the Earth. So basically, if this was the orbit and it could have collided with the Earth, I have sent a spacecraft which will hit it, and now it will move like this. मैंने क्या चेंज कर दी? इसकी ऑर्बिट. अब ऑर्बिट चेंज कर दी तो अब ये अर्थ पे कोलाइड नहीं करेगी. नेक्स्ट, बाय यूजिंग द लेजर बीम्स, आई use very strong lasers to simply burn the asteroids before they enter the Earth's atmosphere or harm the Earth. Then you also had the gravity tractor. Now, what is a gravity tractor? In this type of technique, the proposed spacecraft will fly close to an asteroid. So let us say this is the spacecraft and this is the asteroid. It will fly very close to the asteroid and whose trajectory threatens to impact the Earth. So let us say this is the asteroid which can come towards the Earth, and due to the gravitational attraction between the two objects, any two objects which have mass will have gravity. So because of this gravitational attraction, for a prolonged period of time, this will change the trajectory of the object. So there are two ways of changing the trajectory. One was DART mission, by which I was sending the spacecraft. DART was of NASA. Another is gravity tractor, by which I am sending another object close to the asteroid, and because of their gravitational pull, it will change the trajectory of the object. This is what I have explained through the pictures. This is what is given in this. So the monitoring and detection, of course, that you have to keep on monitoring the data. This article is from the planetary.org, from where I have taken this data. You can visit this also for more detailed study. I have limited time, so I cannot go much deeper. So I can monitor and detect the near Earth objects or asteroids. I can deflect them using kinetic impactor. What is kinetic impactor? It is sending the spacecraft to collide. कौन सा था इसका example? DART mission. So DART mission was double asteroid redirection test, which is kinetic impactor. I'm literally sending another spacecraft to hit the asteroid. Then you have the gravity tractor, in which I'm placing a spacecraft near an asteroid and using its gravitational pull to slowly alter the asteroid's trajectory over the time. And then you have the nuclear disruption, a strong nuclear explosion near the asteroid so that it vaporizes. Something like that is also laser ablation, that I use a very strong laser in order to destroy the asteroid. So this is what is given in that particular region where or site from where I have made this answer for you, and you can visit that. This is for the conclusion of the answer. So for the body of the answer, we have understood what are the different types of asteroids, what are the possible impact it can have, how can I prevent it, and then for the conclusion you can write that near Earth orbits objects, or NEO surveyor, is a surveyor by NASA. It is the first space telescope specifically designed to hunt the asteroids and comets that may be potential hazards. If you want to write something from India's perspective, ISRO is also gearing up to build a program to prevent the celestial bodies from colliding with Earth. It also has the plans to send its spacecraft to study the asteroid Apophis when it passes the Earth at a dangerously close distance of 32,000 kilometers. When? In 2029. So ISRO right now does not have any running program, but in future by 2029 it will be studying the Apophis, so that we also have our own program for deflecting the asteroids or any objects coming towards the Earth. Coming to the next question, which is on intellectual property right. What is the present world scenario of intellectual property rights with respect to life material? Although India is second in the world to file the patents, 10 marker question hai, but still the commercialization is not done. Again, I have added this link of the NASSCOM. NASSCOM ne trends bataye the of the IPR. How do I start this answer? You can either start with this data from NASSCOM. I have given this data also from this particular link of the NASSCOM. NASSCOM की website से ये data मैंने निकाला है, which for this question we will see how we will write the introduction, but for any possible future question also we will see how we can use it. So now India is a bigger mark, has made a bigger mark on the global stage with 83K or 83,000 patents filed in India in financial year 2023. You can start with this introduction also. बहुत शानदार introduction होगा. One is a very simple introduction in which you can define what are intellectual property rights. So the intellectual property rights in India, they include the trade secrets, patents, trademarks, copyrights, plant breeders' rights, utility model design, geographical indicators, which is to honor the innovation, to honor the novelty and its utilization for the human population. So one is a simple thing, define IPR. What is the IPR? What are the different categories of IPR? Do not take the categories of IPR into body of the answer. उतनी जगह नहीं है हमारे पास. 10 marker question. It is a 10 marker question. I have to restrict my answer to the demand of the question. So in the introduction, you can either use this or you can either use this. This is the data which has been given. This is additional data for your introduction. You can only restrict to this much. This is additional data for students who are going to appear in the future examination. Within this also, keeping life objects or life material aside, life material which is associated with biotechnology, maximum IPRs have been found or have been filed, in the deep technologies, especially in the IT sector. So yes, that is where we are doing a lot of progress. Now the question comes, why we have a lot of filing but we do not have much commercialization, and the reasons for lesser commercialization. सबसे पहले, what are the different types of protocols which are governing them? You have TRIPS, which is under WTO, but the major international protocol is Nagoya Protocol. When I talk about the life products are the microorganisms, they are the plants, they are the insects, they are the animals. So let us say I am talking about the GM crops. The GM crops will also come under this. They will also come under the definition of life material. So सबसे पहले मेरे पास life material क्या है? Right? They can either be normal living or living and modified. So they can also be genetically modified. If you notice, there are very strict laws. If you're traveling internationally, you're not even allowed to carry, let us say, pulses, etc., because it might have certain worms which can enter the new territory. So yes, there are very strict laws around it. When it comes to the movement of the genetically modified or biological material, the main protocol is the Nagoya Protocol. The main theme or the main crux of Nagoya Protocol is to allow the access to biological genetic resources and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits accruing from the commercial use under convention of biological diversity. If you are having a commercial use of any living object, it should be equitable, and it has to be fair. So yes, Nagoya Protocol is not saying that there should be no sharing of the living resources, but it has to be fair, and the living material from prokaryotes to eukaryotes, for genetic resources, for traditional knowledge, and this can only be done by mutually agreed terms, prior consent, and the plant-based products especially, they are the major ambit. This is your symbol of the Nagoya Protocol, and the theme has been written all around it. So if I talk about the life materials or the biological resources, they are governed by these international norms. So when they talk about the world scenario, what is the present world scenario of intellectual property, right? You can start the body of the answer. That globally, you're talking about the world scenario. Globally, it is the Nagoya Protocol and the TRIPS, which are the international agreements as well as the protocol which govern the sharing of the genetic resources or the living resources. Then you can say that globally the countries which have the highest investment in the areas of biotechnology or modification of the living systems, they are China, USA, EU, etc. The production as well as adaptation of genetically modified crops. US is one of the largest producer of genetically modified crops. Although in many US states it is not allowed, but it is the largest producer as well as exporter. So in the global platform, these are the protocols which are governing the usage or the living products. And then you have the countries like China, countries like EU, countries like USA, which are having much higher share in the production as well as the supply of living system. The reason is why they have a higher share. They have a higher share, or the commercialization of the patent is much higher there because of the availability of capital, because of the resistance. अब इस आंसर को थोड़ा सा बेटर हम कैसे लिखते हैं, इसको हम क्या कर सकते हैं, we can directly jump to why in India you do not see the commercialization. We can directly come to that. So in India the commercialization is still not at par with the other countries because of the following reasons. These are the following reasons. The reasons are that there is weak industry academia collaboration. You can say that although ICAR, CSIR and other such organizations are making products, including Department of Biotechnology, are making a lot of progress as well as fighting for a lot of patents in the areas of life products and life sciences and biotechnology, but the private sector or private player is still not very keen on investing on these technologies, commercializing the patents that we have. You can also give the example, or you can give the statement by the Biocon chief Majumdar, that she said that India needs to put focus on biotech as it whether it is through the PLI scheme, whether it is through the various incentives. So one is the weak industry and academia collaboration. Academia is doing its work. What is lacking behind this? The industry. Then lack of capital investment. Again, the limited venture capital for life sciences startups restricts the commercialization. Then you can also say regulations. There is a battery of regulations. For example, in India, you have the GEAC, then you have the Department of Biotechnology, you have the Ministry of Science and Technology. So long approval times are requirement, particularly in the pharmaceutical industry. You have delay in the patent commercialization, and the DGCA approval process is also very, very slow. Then you have the higher cost, the cost of bringing a patent to the market, whether it is for the clinical trials or even for building the products. The small companies, they fall behind. So since the small companies are not able to participate, the overall commercialization is lacking. Then inadequate infrastructure. India does not have enough labs. So India, which is called as the pharmacy to the world, can only be called the lab of the world or the production house of the world only if we make availability of good quality labs, or the technical aspect is given more priority when we train more human resource in that. And for that, the Department of Biotechnology is already taking a lot of initiatives. So when countries like EU, China, USA, they are having a lot of initiatives for building the infrastructure, we are lagging behind. So we can say that these are the issues why the commercialization is not taking place. What should I do that the commercialization takes place? We can say that, for example, there was the NEPM, which is National Intellectual Properties Awareness Mission, which was launched in the December of 2021. You also have the intellectual property rights. The document has been released. You also have the rights and regulations and the rules for the geographical indicators. You also have the Patent Rights Act. You can mention all of this. You can also write about Kapila, which is the dedicated to Dr. Kalam. It is for the school students and the college student, encouraging the patenting or encouraging innovation among the students. So according to that, on the National Innovation Day, the Kalam program for IP literacy and awareness was launched in order to raise awareness among the school students and the college students. So you can use any of this data in the conclusion. You can also say that India is on the verge of becoming the hub for the latest technology as well as products. We are not only involved in the scientific discovery or creating the processes, but also creating the products out of that. For that, you can write about the PLI initiative. You can also talk about the push the government is giving towards the startup, whether it is for seed funding, whether it is reducing the taxation for the initial years, also the protection of the startups, etc. So this is how you can write this answer. Last is a very factual question. Discuss the context and salient features of digital personal data protection bill. इसका थोड़ा सा context बता देती हूँ मैं. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपने एक जजमेंट में बोला था in 2017 Justice K.S. Puttaswamy case, he said that the privacy is a fundamental right under the Article 21. So right to privacy is as good as right to life, and you cannot meddle with that. Especially Aadhaar case ke time pe there was a lot of hue and cry around the right of privacy. We are talking about that case. Then India aimed to align its data protection laws along with the international laws. So European Union, USA, Canada already has very strong laws which is aiming at protecting the personal data. So when I talk about the data protection bill, this infographic I find kind of handy in understanding this bill. So if I have to understand this bill, this Protection Act says that it aims to safeguard personal data. It applies to both public and private sectors. It ensures data is used ethically and responsibly. What are the key features? Consent is required, explicit consent. You cannot simply assume that if you have the data, you can use it. Right of individuals, access, correction and deletion right. Penalties, strict fines on the data breaches. Do you know that in the dark web, in the dark net, one of the most expensive commodities which was sold was the data on Indians' Aadhaar card, right? Then your rights under the act, right to access, right to correction, right to be forgotten. I want my data to be removed after it has been used. Compliance checklist, implementation should be extremely robust. Data security measures should be there. Then you also have the DPDP Act, Data Protection Bill 2023 and the GDPR for EU. Why am I focusing on GDPR? Because that is from where we have made this act. हमने उसी से लेकर करा है. Similarity is both acts prioritize or both the acts are prioritizing the consent and the individual rights. Differences is it is for India, that is for EU, and breach notification both require the prompt reporting. So from where we have got this act, what is our motivation? It is the act from the European Union. What are the consequences? Of course, there are penalties and there are different, kind of punishments that can be given here. These are the different parts that you have to mention in this answer. You have to talk about the consent-based data processing. The consent-based data processing, that is, explicit consent should be asked. A social media platform must obtain clear consent. Data fiduciary responses. What is data fiduciary? That is, the entities, the parties which are collecting and processing the data are supposed to handle the data very carefully and responsibly. The e-commerce website, for example, cannot simply sell the data, right? It has the duty to protect. Right to access and correction. The individuals have the right to access their personal data and request correction or deletion. That is, I want to be forgotten. So the right to be forgotten. Right. Then you have the obligation of data processes. Whether it is an Indian company or a foreign company handling the Indian citizens' data, they have to comply with these laws. So this was a very welcoming move, and I was very happy to see this question. And there are other areas also, such as data localization, then the penalties for the breaches, The children's data protection, another very, very important aspect from there. Then the grievance redressal mechanism should also be there. The government should also make sure that the data is used in the public interest and should not be used against them. For the conclusion of this answer, in the conclusion of the answer, you can write how India is the location where maximum data breaches as well as financial frauds and data related frauds are conducted. It was high time India also had its own act in order to protect its citizens. Alright, so students, this was my attempt to not only discuss the questions which were asked in the GS3 from Science and Tech, but also give you a way of preparing for the upcoming examination. Thank you so much and have a nice day.